Welcome back, everybody. Well, new information coming to light in the controversy surrounding Hillary Clinton's email. A federal judge declaring that Mrs. Clinton did not follow government policy for email use when using a personal server for most of her messages when she was Secretary of State. Now, that raises new questions about security and whether her correspondence was vulnerable to hackers overseas. Meanwhile, Mrs. Clinton continues to dance around the issue in this lively exchange with our own Ed Henry.
Wipe the whole server.
I'm not, I have no idea. That's why we turned it over.
You were in charge of it. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something?
No. Well, you know how it works digitally. Did you try to wipe the whole server?
I don't know how it works digitally at all. I do not have any.
You did not try.
Ed, I know you want to make a point, and I can just repeat what I have said. Thank you all very much.
That this issue isn't going to go away for the remainder of your campaign?
Nobody talked to me about it, other than you guys.
Well, there you have it. Only the media talks to her about this and asks her questions about it. Joining us now, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, retired from the U.S. Army and a senior fellow with the London Center for Policy Research. Welcome. Great to have you today.
Good to have me. Good to be
What was your reaction when you first witnessed that exchange with reporters?
Remind me the Jedi mind trick. These are not the servers you're looking for. Come on. We all know that this server was insecure. The more information comes out about this, the more people need to be very concerned. This company in Denver was not following best practices for the private sector and not even touching the government sector requirements of securing unclassified email. They had a number of options, Uma. They could have done VPN. They could have done essentially classification, basically encryption of every email that goes in and out of a server. They did none of that. This thing was essentially as open as a 15-year-old's computer in somebody's home. And let me be clear on why this is important. London Center is looking at this from the national security perspective. This is like during World War II. We were reading the Germans' mail in an intercept program called Enigma. We were able to figure out every time the Germans were going to do something because we were reading their mail ahead of time. That's what we're talking about here. And Uma, my intelligence community sources have told me that now that everything is on the table, we knew that the Russians have gone in there and the Chinese have gone in there, and anything that was on that server, they now have a copy of. And that's what we need to be very concerned about.
That raises huge questions.
Absolutely.
Because you are saying that there are sources within the Obama administration right now that are confirming that the intelligence community, that the Chinese and Russian intelligence service have actually had access to that server.
Absolutely. At the classified level, I can't name my sources, but clearly at the classified level, the White House knows that that they know now the damage this has done to our national security. So think about this. Think about the foreign policy failures over the past 6 years, 8 years. And remember that if somebody's reading your email, they can anticipate everything you're doing to get there ahead of you. So this is no trivial issue. We have to take this seriously, Uma, and the fact that the evidence is there now saying that this happened. The intelligence community knows that, and there needs to be greater, more aggressive action to account for what's been lost.
And the State Department is actually verifying the fact that really it did nothing to secure her site and anything at all after the hacks were first revealed.
Right. You know, I love John Kirby, but John is trying to basically get people off the beam on this. The bottom line is this. She had an iPad that she wanted to use, which she was told was insecure. She had an entire mail system that everybody knew about on the inside. Everybody was getting her emails from this ClintonMail.com, and no one did anything to do it. And after the fact, after Guccifer, this European-based hacker, got in there, downloaded a bunch of email, they didn't do anything even after they recognized that this was clearly compromised. It is completely unconscionable, and to me, clearly someone should go to jail over this. This is no small issue.
What was your reaction to news that the judge was coming down hard on Mrs. Clinton?
Well, it's about time, and God bless Judicial Watch for having gotten the ball rolling on this. You know, I mean, if not for them pushing and the judge now saying you need to look deeper into this, I think this may have all been swept under the rug, even with Congress looking at this. The bottom line is this. We have to examine this not from a partisan basis, but from a factual, technical basis on what the technology was used, what the vulnerabilities were, who may have had access to it, and what are the that information went and how it's being used by our adversaries. We've got to be realistic about this. We've got to be thorough about this, or else we're going to see more failures of both the foreign policy and of bad news for Hillary Clinton, because I have a feeling that some of those emails, their personal emails she deleted, had nothing to do with personal issues, and this puts her in a position to be blackmailed by a foreign country, especially if she becomes president.
Well, that's the real serious issue right there when you
Right.
point that out very clearly. At the same time, she can no longer say this is just an issue for the GOP or the right-wing conspiracy,
not.
because we have the judge talking about this very seriously. You've got FBI probes going on right now.
That's correct.
I mean, this is something that other people, as you point out, would be going to jail for.
Right. And now we're going to try to start an investigation with the London Center to look at trying to prove the exact times and places that foreign intelligence services have penetrated that server. It's going to be a challenge, but we're going down that path. And we're meeting with members of Congress and the staff actually in the Capitol on Monday to continue discussions on this. Again, this is a national security issue. This is not a partisan issue. And Uma, you know, we've got to take this seriously to get to the bottom of it, period, no matter what.
Yeah, indeed, this is leading us to uncharted waters at the moment.
Yes, ma'am.
Colonel, thank you very much for joining us as always. Appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Uma.